Happy spooky month, everybody. We are finally back to discuss. Well, I guess we're at the halfway point now. We're on part 10. Lots to discuss here. Some Vegas shenanigans, the sex appeal of Dougie Jones, dark and disturbing things happening in Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't hate Richard already, you absolutely will by the time this episode is through. That's all I'm going to say right out the gates.
I mean, it's hard not to hate him already. But,
right. But if you didn't before,
God,
you will now.
Yeah. I still say maybe the most evil person in Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you that you're wrong. And finding out the definitive answers to who he is related to and stuff in this episode, it's very heartbreaking because we're connecting now officially to the Horn family. And it's really like heartbreaking to know that Johnny is still having his problems, and Mrs. Horn's trying to take care of him, and we know that she's no longer with Ben, so there's that, and they're just trying to live their own existence. And then here comes Richard. Now I'll say this though, before he comes in, I would be lying if I said I didn't like guffaw laughing at Johnny's teddy bear.
What is
by
going
far
on with
one of the
that
most
thing?
bizarre
What did they
things.
do to the head of the teddy bear? It's like,
I don't
is that
know,
a light bulb?
but the first time I saw it, I just remember thinking, like, that is the most David Lynch teddy bear I've ever seen.
It is the teddy bear of your nightmares.
It is absolutely. It is the teddy bear from Eraserhead. Like the creepy baby from Eraserhead, that's its teddy bear.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and say that's exactly what it is. That's a teddy bear that would hang out with the mystery man from Lost Highway and actually make him nervous. That's a teddy bear that they would kick out of the Black Lodge because it's too damn evil. But for whatever reason, Johnny finds it comforting and soothing.
Well, I mean, he's just saying, hello, Johnny. How are you today?
Literally over and over and over. And so, like, it's one of those things where that becomes kind of funny. And then it gets kind of annoying. And then it just gets sad when Richard shows up and basically attacks the family. Like, it's so genuinely uncomfortable. Like, it's awkward and kind of funny at first, that scene when you first start, with Johnny in his chair with the creepy teddy bear and everything, but then it just becomes one of the most horrendous scenes in The Return. I mean, not the most, I don't think, but it is one of the most, because Johnny is helpless, because Richard is just such a genuinely awful piece of shit, with just a awful person. And as we go on into the second half of The Return, we'll find even more out why he is that way. But it is absolutely one of the most heartbreaking moments in The Return, in all of Twin Peaks, honestly, this scene when Richard shows up to get money.
It's interesting too. Like, I thought the narrative, like, up to this point, like, we knew his name was Horn, but we didn't know exactly who he was. And even though the scene doesn't explicitly tell us, we can piece it together. It's such an interesting way to reveal this information, right?
Yes.
Like, it's not that there's a character that walks onto the set and says,
hey, you're so-and-so, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And instead, it's just done so organically and horribly.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Jesus.
He does refer to her as grandma, right?
Yep.
In that scene. Yeah. So
and so if and I mean, maybe for people who hadn't watched the whole series, maybe that would still leave mystery. But I mean, we know that
we definitely know
there's two kids, and one of them is unlikely to have fathered children. So it's pretty clear who he is, and that is, and again, with everything that we know about him and the fact that we still haven't seen Audrey yet, like, it's such an effective and ominous way to reveal information, and in a way that isn't holding your hand. I mean, we've talked about this before. Like, Twin Peaks doesn't hold your hand throughout and make it easy on you to figure out what's going on. And this is another a subtle example of how that is. But we get a lot of information about Audrey and Richard in this moment in a way that is not with nobody saying anything other than the word grandma.
Yep. Tells us all we need to know at that point. I mean, it's really impressive.
We'll find out more, which we've already gotten like cookie crumb clues about Richard.
Who was the last person who saw, Audrey in her room? Like, yeah, there have been clues left up to where you can kind of start piecing it together. But I like the fact that, that they're not going to just come right out and tell you this is what's up. I appreciate that it is still to me, like, when you know what's going on, it's pretty obvious. But then again, like, the benefit of having seen it before, going back and watching, you're like, yeah, it's just how would you not know? But the first time you were kind of like, okay, now could
that have been a cousin or something?
Right. There's got to be something there. Like, we still don't quite know. Like, it's not spoon fed. And I really do appreciate that. I agree. I mean, like, Richard is definitely a key part of this episode, because not only do we have this sequence, but we also see him going after the school teacher.
Right. Yeah, which is also a very disturbing and like just uncomfortable scene, because
horrible scene.
Because we've seen this lady once before, and she seems like a very sweet, nice person, right? And she's just doing her due diligence as a good citizen because she saw a horrible thing happen. And of course,
she saw who did it, and she's just doing the job that you would hope someone would do, which is actually go and say, hey, this is the asshole who hit that kid. Right. But again, it just goes to show how depraved, how awful Richard is. And, isn't he very much reminding you of like an entity that could feasibly be a part of the Black Lodge with the choices that he makes, the decisions he has? Like,
his language, like, he threatens to rape his uncle.
Yes.
Like what?
Yeah.
And like, we already
he is a despicable thing.
Like the scene in the Roadhouse is like, he's saying things that like not even evil human beings would say, like, it's like
dude, at this point, even Mr. C hasn't said anything to that level.
You're right.
And that's like Mr. C. I mean, like, dude, it's really awful. Like, I mean, he is a despicable character, and it's like they definitely do a very good job of making you hate this character. Like, my God in heaven, they make him the most despicable thing in The Return. And again, when you realize that Bob and Mr. C and Judy are all still in play, that's saying a whole hell of a lot when he's the worst thing in it. It's just like I said, and again, the actor does a great job with that part. Like, it's really, I am sure that was a difficult part to perform, to have to attack these women, and especially, the woman playing your grandmother, for crying out loud. Like, I'm certain that was really tough, but he does a really great job with this part. Like, he is a despicable wild card of a character. We don't know what he'll do, and we know now he's capable of anything. And that makes him a very scary character in a world that's already got a lot of scary characters in its population. And we know that he's got the cops on the take because he's given Chad the money to look away when he's smoking in the Roadhouse. Like, he's got connections. He's connected with Red. He's got power. He really does. And it shows in this episode. I'll just say that.
Which we see that further with the Chad stuff, with the whole trying to intercept the letter scene.
Yep.
But I may have read this scene differently than you guys, but with the whole attack on Mrs. Horn, and of course Johnny's going through the things he's going through, but he seems generally distressed that his mother is like in danger to me. Like, he seems like he's wanting to like help her.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I that's exactly how that read to me. Like, I think if he could have gotten loose, he'd have ripped Richard apart. Like, I really do. I think he'd have absolutely ripped him apart. And nobody would have blamed him, and nobody would have been mad about that. I always took it that way, that he is so absolutely like panicked concern about what's going on. Yeah, that's how that always played to me. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what struck me about this episode that I didn't remember until I watched it again this time was just how much domestic violence is throughout the episode.
Yeah, because we have the scene at the trailer park with Amanda Seyfried's character.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that
Shelley's
piece.
daughter.
Yeah,
Shelley's daughter.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that piece. And it just and I think that, you know, what's interesting about this, because this episode is called Laura's the One, and it ends with that line. And, you know, we now know how central the issue of domestic abuse is to the entire story.
Yeah.
It's interesting that this episode focuses so much, you know, on that throughout, right? This scene being the one with Sylvia and Richard is the most dramatic, I think. But I mean, there was a lot. Like, I was watching, like, you could say that, like, you know, there's comedic violence that happens throughout this episode as well. But the it's interesting. I just didn't notice it's the first time, the way that the story brings us back to this issue, which has been, you know, such a central theme in the entire series the entire time.
Absolutely. And, you know, what happened to Laura, what's happening to everybody else, and then of course Shelley's past with her relationship with Leo.
Yeah. And I mean, the implication of Richard's birth also, you know, it goes back to assault as well, right? So
no other way to look at that, and that explains so much about, like, the evil of that character. He was conceived by an evil act that was put upon by an evil man, an evil entity for that matter. And so yes, it's very there are layers to that evil parfait there, basically, that just explains why he's the way he is. But no, and we've talked about it in our previous discussions in seasons 1 and 2 of Twin Peaks, that the domestic abuse thing is definitely real. And we've talked about a number of times how the women of Twin Peaks are really the strongest characters. And like, they are the bravest, they are the strongest, and they are the ones who have the most weight put on them because of all the evil men, you know, basically, that they deal with. And that's what's interesting about what I will say, like, looking at the Horn family, okay, like, seeing Ben Horn, like, stay on the path of good, right? Like, to see him actually, like, still being what we hoped he would be in this season has been really refreshing. You know, Dougie Jones is, like, the most innocent of men possible, and he's everything good about men that could be there, the positive masculinity. And then you have Mr. C, who is the prime example of toxic masculinity. Like, it's really interesting to see how Lynch and Frost play with those things in the space of this supernatural, you know, almost cosmic horror level of soap opera and all of that. Like, it's the layers of what Twin Peaks is, and it's amazing how this still sneaks in there. Not, I won't say that they beat you over the head with, but it's definitely there. And if you're watching it and you're seeing it, like, you're going to pick up on it. And a lot of Lynch's work talks about that too. I mean, looking at Mulholland Drive and how the industry chews up women and spits them out. You know, I mean, like Lost Highway, and how men become jealous and covetous of women and you know, control them, or worse. You know, like, it's definitely there. It's something that, and I'd be interested, like, I've never heard, like, Lynch speak about it, but I'd be interested to know if that was something that he saw in his life, someone he knew who dealt with that kind of abuse, and that's something that really stuck with him. I would have to think there's probably somewhere at some point that he saw those kinds of things that really made him want to be, you know, wanting to put a spotlight on that and make characters in his shows that were in his movies that, you know, where the women are the more powerful characters. They've always got the one up in the grand scheme of things. That's, you know, interesting place to look at. But with this episode, you're right. The domestic violence stuff is there, and it's all over the place. And we've talked about how Twin Peaks just continues to feel, the town itself continues to feel even more infected, you know, and that word will come up with a scene in another episode down the road. But there is this feeling like there's just this horrible energy underneath the surface, you know, and that creates things like your Richard Horns and your Chads and these awful people doing awful things and having no issue with it whatsoever. There's no morality to them. They have no issue with morals. It's an interesting place when you look at our original cast, with Cooper and Truman and Hawk. Like, they're such forthright men. They have such strong moral character. And now in this universe, that's something that's, you don't see it as much. It's kind of fading away. And I find that kind of interesting.
I don't know how big of fans you guys were of like the Joss Whedon series, but you know how in Buffy the town is like at the center of a hellmouth. So maybe Twin Peaks, for whatever reason, has some energy that draws itself to like these entities and the other side of cosmic forces.
Yeah, the Mark Frost books hint at that quite a bit. Actually, they definitely hint at that, and you see some of that in this season as well, as we talk about, like, Jackrabbit Palace and things like that. There are definitely energies in play. Glastonbury Grove being like a direct link into the Red Room. But then there's also the positive side of that with Jackrabbit Palace, and the White Lodge connectivity and that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's something about Twin Peaks, but it feels like right now that the evil is taking over, that it's permeating more, and it just feels like it has the one up over the side of good. There are still those forces fighting the good fight, but it just feels like they're fighting an uphill battle at this point, at least in Twin Peaks. But what's interesting is, like, in like Las Vegas, it just seems much more positive, even with the characters we're dealing with. Buckhorn has a little more positivity. Twin Peaks just does not really have a lot of it right now at this stage in the series.
So, and it's before we move on to the Vegas or Buckhorn stuff in this episode, the scene where Richard's on the phone with Sylvia, and they're having that argument because she's telling him what happened, and she's like, "You're gonna pay me back, or I'm getting my lawyer."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and part of him is like, "Of course I'm not gonna repay you. I mean, what do you want me to do about this?" But at the other hand, it's like, how much distress. And Richard, as horrible of a human being, he probably wasn't like a physical abuser in that regard, but he definitely did a lot of harm to Sylvia in their marriage. So, like, there's a part of him that's like, "Yeah, I guess I got to do this to make amends," but he doesn't want, part of him's like, what do you want me to do? But at the other hand, you can see that in his face, like when they're having that conversation.
Yeah.
Because, it's a man filled with immense regret and guilt.
Oh, he's living that. Yeah. Colin, you were starting to say something earlier. I'm sorry, I talked over top of that.
No, I was just when you were talking about Twin Peaks being, central to or infected by some sort of evil. There, I mean, in the initial series, they talked about that in the discussions around the Bookhouse Boys, and how there was stuff out there that they were uniting against, right? And maybe some of that has been lost, right? Maybe that's where why things are different now. I mean, we've talked before about sort of the reason why the return isn't like the original 2 seasons, and how the idea of not being able to go back. But there's also evolution and change, and maybe what was able to hold back the evil has given way a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, we don't have Harry. We've not had Cooper. Hawk and Andy have been left picking up the slack, and they can only do so much,
Right.
And the log lady, lady's on her way out. So
and she is at death's doorstep, and so the forces that have been fighting for them are scattered.
And the major's gone.
The major's gone. Yeah, like there are so many of our people that we need that aren't with us anymore, but we do kind of start learning that there are other levels of existence that are starting to kind of fall into play too. I mean, there's a disembodied head that says Blue Rose. There's there's other things in play. There's things starting to kind of come around.
We're gonna meet One Punch Man.
Yeah, man, no joke. We've seen him at the Roadhouse with James one time, but we don't know anything about him yet. But he has been out there. He is in play.
Is there anything else we want to discuss about the Twin Peaks section before we move on to the Vegas stuff?
As always, though, I will say I do love getting to see the log lady. I love that they were able to get her involved in this before she passed, and I love the relationship with her and Hawk.
Yes.
Those moments are some of my, not only my favorite moments in The Return, but maybe just my favorite moments in Twin Peaks. Every call that he has with Margaret is just so special. And they're great because they always have something to do with the scene. They're not done just for, oh, let's just put her in there to put her in there. They always have purpose. Every scene means something. But I just love that we get to see the two of them in these final moments. Knowing that she was literally dying as they were shooting this. Every time I see her scenes, I start tearing up because she was just such a beautiful, beautiful spirit. And the log lady is one of those things, like, you can't think of Twin Peaks without thinking of her. She's part and parcel with it. And I just really appreciate that they were able to give her such a respectful and such a thoughtful and such a powerful send off through The Return. Those scenes always mean so much to me every time I watch them.
Yeah, I guess I mentioned it already, but about the scene with Becky and I mean, it almost feels a little bit throwaway, like, why is this here? But I mean, it'll play into scenes that come up in future episodes now. But also, like I said, I think it's really, because she is, because we know that her mom also was in abusive relationships, and we're just seeing this pattern, right? Like, she's Shelley's daughter, and we're seeing her, live out sort of similar patterns. It struck me, I think, more than originally the time that I saw it, how powerful that scene was. That paired with the scenes with Richard and Sylvia as well, but both the scenes with Richard, because they are so violent, even though the initial one in the trailer is sort of off screen, but it's so effectively done. You still feel it.
You still know what's happening, and you know what, your imagination could just run wild. And we're going to see the effects of that later.
We will in the next episode, actually. And then I'll also say this too, like, because of just in the first time we see Shelley's daughter, just it struck me. But, like, I think a lot of it is she almost feels like Laura 2.0. The beautiful, blonde-haired girl. She's a high school student. She's troubled. She's, but she seems to have this light about her, like the way Lynch shoots her in that convertible.
Right.
Like it screams Fire Walk with Me, Laura Palmer shots, like, left and right to me. It really does. Well,
and also, it's just Amanda Seyfried as a performer. Like, she has that aura about her of, like, this positivity and, like,
So it almost just feels like Laura happening again. Like this is a cyclical thing. Like there's going to be some new homecoming queen to be sacrificed, kind of thing.
Yeah, I was hoping we would talk a little bit about the title of the episode and the line itself, maybe towards the end. But it really does feel like much of this episode is pointing us back at Laura and reminding us of Laura, and how central she is to the story. And again, how much of that has to do with the legacy of abuse that's happened in this town and many other towns across the country. But it's it struck me. I think it's a scene that gets lost amongst so many of the other ones, which are so much more flashy. But that paired with what we learn about Richard and what we learn about Audrey is just, it's a very which is why some of the humor in the Las Vegas section is so welcome.
We do get one little moment of brevity in Twin Peaks, and that's Nadine watching Dr. Jacoby's podcast. From Run Silent, Run Drapes, the best name for a store.
Yes, Run
Silent, Run Drapes.
Yeah,
First time I saw that exterior, I cried laughing. I was like, "That's the most perfect thing."
I mean, it's great because Nadine is such an interesting character, and I mean, she was used for such comic relief in the second season. But this idea that her, like, from the pilot episode, the Drapes issue has led her to this level of success is really encouraging. Like, it's actually quite lovely.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
It's also just something for people who are fans of the original show to be like, here's something that you remember from the show.
Yeah. And there is a payoff.
Paid off.
Yeah, it is an absolute payoff, and it's so fabulous. And of course, this moment ends up leading to a very big decision that she's going to make towards the end of this run, and it's by far one of my favorite things in the entirety of Twin Peaks. But I love that of all the people who would be watching Dr. Jacoby's Crackpot podcast, of course, it's Nadine Hurley.
Yeah.
And watching it from her drapery store, it's just perfect. It's
but even one more thing before we leave Twin Peaks 2. Another thing I noticed that I didn't notice the first time is, speaking of comic relief, so much of The Return, Lucy has been sort of used as comic relief. But this one reminded me, like, when she's got this scene where she's sort of eyeing Chad. Like, I think she's on to him.
Yeah.
And this reminds me of the bit where she was like, pretending to be in the original series, pretending to be typing, but writing down everything that was said. Like she's like, it's so easy to see her as a bit of a clown, but I think there's also, she's got a cop in her too, right? Like,
she does.
She's actually good at her job of what she does. Like, even though people kind of play her off as like the kooky, eccentric secretary, she's actually
and she is that. Don't get us wrong. Like, she is that. But she also is part of the glue that holds the department together. I mean, we talked about in the first season, she's the one that sets up the donuts every night. So that's already in the morning, man.
And
like, that's
she gives Andy and the guy's name Richard too. She gives them the ultimatum. In the original series.
Yeah. No, Lucy's more on the ball than we think she is, and I like that they let those moments happen with her.
I think the town knows Chad's like a bit of a shitty person, because even the mailman's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. He's not good at his like trying to be clandestine, sort of,
Well, the problem is he's just such an asshole, and he can't help but be an asshole that everybody picks up on it. Like, it's so obvious because he's such an asshole.
Right.
The only thing I wanted to add about Twin Peaks, talking about the Becky scene, and it's not quite the same as the Sylvia scene, but Harry Dean Stanton plays like he's having his little moment, and then that thing falls out of the window. They throw what he throws, and it's exactly what happens in real life when you're like overhear situations like that. You're like, what, do I do anything, or do I just go about my day and ignore it? Like,
right.
And Carl doesn't do that, man. He's a real one. Carl's a real one. And again, how wonderful to see Harry Dean Stanton, and one of the last things he would ever do. I would have never thought going into this that Carl from the Fat Trout Trailer Park and Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me would have anything to do in this series. But I love the fact that we have the new Fat Trout Trailer Park, and it's close to town, and he is this like super hooked up dude, man. Like, he's got his own chauffeur. He uses his little whistle to bring him out. Like, he takes care of his people. I love how real Carl is, and I do love the fact that like he does end up like reporting this. Like, he talks to Shelley about what he's seen. Like, he does not let it slide, and I really appreciate that, because Carl, we see it numerous times in this season. He really does care about the people in his park. He does not look at them as renters. Like the guy who donates blood. He's like, quit donating blood. I'm going to give you money. You mowed all these lawns.
Right.
So I'm going to give you money. Quit donating blood. Like, you don't do that. You come to me. Like, I love the fact that he takes care of his people the way that he does. And that's something really special. And again, it's one of those things I would have never thought I would see in the return, but I'm so grateful that it's there, because Harry Dean Stanton is wonderful. Again, much like the Log Lady, every time he's on screen, it's a wonderful moment. It really is.
So we ready to talk Vegas?
God, yes.
So we got some great comic bits with two of your favorite characters. Well, not
the Mitchum brothers the Mitchum brothers are my favorite characters in the return. Like,
this is where we really get introduced to them. I mean, we've seen them bit and the Candy, but this is where it feels like we really start to get to know them.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
and they,
Candy is so distraught through the whole stuff at their house when she hits one of them because of the fly in there, and they're not even mad about it. Like,
no.
It's such a great moment because, like, Candy is just like her own running joke, man. Like, she really is.
Well, I mean, they're trying to get her to get Tom Sizemore, and she's just over there playing with her hand.
Yes, yeah.
Like, every time she's on screen, it's magical. Like, I love how they just Candy, and they never get rid of her. Like, they still deal with it every single time. And I love that they put up with it because obviously they care about Candy. That scene with the fly, though, I swear to God, the first time I saw that, I had to stop it. I was laughing so hard. Like, had to pause the stream on my Showtime app because I tears, just straight up tears coming out. I was laughing so hard. It is such a perfectly timed moment. And Lynch is so good at that kind of humor. Like, he pulls it off so well that this is the moment where I really fell in love with all things Las Vegas. It's this, and it's Janie E and her reaction to Dougie at the checkup. Like, this episode is where it's all there.
And
so perfect.
Have you lost weight? Have you been exercising?
Well, you sort of forget that when we saw Dougie before all of this, he was big.
Schlub. He was overweight. He was got a horrible, like, is it a wig or hair?
Yeah, God, it was terrible hair. Yeah, it was terrible hair. But no, I love the fact that, like, and it's so funny because it's like no one's noticed that he's slimmer. Like, I mean, some people kind of catch, like, hey, you look like he lost, but no one's really picked up.
Yeah, because all of his clothes are too big, right?
His clothes are humongous. Right. It's hilarious.
Well, I mean,
that blazer is so gigantic
on him, right? Like,
but,
so like, what is it? Like, apparently, like, Dougie's energy, something's picking up there,
But you don't know. I mean, he hasn't been like, with all the oversized clothes, you can't see that he's like gotten really fit. Like like that part's sort of being glossed over until they're in that moment where suddenly the doctor's checking him out and he's like, wait a minute, what's going on here, right?
And the way Janie E looks at him, dude, like, that's just hilarious, man. Like, that is.
She's already made up her mind in the doctor's office.
Yes, yeah.
And I will say, like, that scene that night is one of the funniest fucking things that David Lynch has ever done.
Because she's
it's Dougie's arms just off to the side,
and he's just got a shit-eating grin on his
face.
My
God,
so
help me God, it is one of the funniest things Kyle MacLachlan's ever done. His facial expression and his lack of movement, but just the bouncing, is so perfect. It's so funny. It's so funny.
Well, and the lead up to it, where she's like asking questions, he's just eating cake, going,
It's so good. Like I said, every time I watch it now, everything in Las Vegas is my favorite stuff in The Return. It just remains the case. I don't see that ever really changing because I love everybody in Vegas. I love Janie E. I love Sonny Jim. I love Battling Bud. I love the Mitchum brothers. Like, I just love all of that world and its lunacy. I love Jade and I love it all. Like, it's
what's great about that. I mean, there's a few things. So one of the things that I noticed about the scene too is, again, it's like with the coffee. It's like with it's he's such a blank slate. He is just relishing the wonderful things in life, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, from little things to bigger things to all of it, like, and this is just another, like, he's just, this is probably I guess, like, again, if he's a blank slate, this is his first time having sex, and he's just able to just take it all in and just love it, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, and there's just something so, like, beautiful and sweet and lovely about that.
There's a purity to it.
Exactly. Like, it's funny, but it's also really sweet.
Yeah, it is.
And
it's such a charming moment. I'm with you. Like, I've always said, like, when we talked about this, like, it feels like Dougie is like all the goodness of Agent Cooper funneled into a form.
Right.
And Mr. C is like all of his dark sides and tendencies funneled into a form. So I love the fact that, like you said, Dougie finds joy in everything.
Yeah.
Like even that episode where he's on the elevator and he's just watching the doors open and close, and he's just smiling about it. Like it's so joyful. Like I love how much he loves coffee. Like it's not just that he wants coffee, he like needs it.
He loves
it's so freaking great. God, it's wonderful.
But it's really showing this like progression, because you really got the sense that he and Janie were on the outs at the beginning of this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And they've slowly, she's come around, like she's seeing something different in him. Well, he's a different person.
To me, it's like the whole thing is Dougie, what he does through the Agent Cooper version of Dougie is he's basically healing everyone in his orbit. And that's so powerful when you really think about it. He turns the Mitchums into a very different couple of people by the time it's all
because this is the start of that. That's where I was going to go next. This is introducing them as a bit of a threat.
Yes.
But we're also, so we're at that beginning of that sort of progression, because they haven't met Dougie yet, right? They haven't had the influence of him yet.
They just know he won a bunch of money from their casino, and of course the whole
and he's being framed.
Frame him.
Yeah, exactly. So he's become a target for them. So they're this new threat, but they're not a threat in the way that some of the other darkness is a threat. Like they're a threat and I'm not saying they're good, but they're not bad.
Well, they're definitely up to shady stuff, but they're so relieved Ike the Spike got arrested. They're like, we're going to save a ton of money on trade.
Yeah, exactly. So they're shady and they're exploitative, but the way they deal with Candy shows that they're not evil.
No right should they put up with her in any way, shape, or form, and yet they do. They never ever send her away. Like they're never mean to her, even though they like yell at her to do something. They're never mean.
Didn't come and get Tom Sizemore. She decided to have a conversation about the weather. So I'm so thankful we have air conditioning.
Yep.
But the other thing is too, it doesn't feel like their relationship with her or the other girls is exploitative either. Like it could have been another example of sort of exploitation, and yet there's no indication that's what's going on.
Not at all. And it's funny because like you would think that being like mob guys running a casino, obviously that is sort of a toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
But it's so amazing how that transforms over the next couple of episodes.
Yes,
over the course of the second half here. Like that's why the Mitchums, I think, are like my favorite characters, because even when they're bad, they're still fun. Like they're still like, you can't not enjoy their scenes. They're very funny and very interesting and very cool. I love everything about the two of them. They play off each other so well. Like they really truly do.
They, of course, are very dangerous and intimidating people, right? We've already seen them be able to do that. But I think they're also like, if you need a job and we know you actually will do good at your job and we know you're a good person, we'll take care of you. Your family.
Well, look at obviously getting ahead of ourselves, but when you look at how they embrace Dougie, and not just Dougie, but Janie E and Sonny Jim and Battling Bud, like, there you can see like they have such generous spirits, like buying cars and that amazing jungle gym that Sonny Jim's about to get down the road.
I mean, some of that though, like you said, is the influence of Dougie, right? But it shows that the spark is there, that they're not.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think I think that generosity was there to begin with. I think maybe they had almost kind of forgotten it, but being in that energy, being in that presence, it just puts them in such a different place. And it's like, what Candy says at the end, when he's like, you gentlemen are good men. She's like, it's true. They really are. Like, she's known that all along. She's known that all along. So I feel like it's almost like they were probably better people back in their earlier years, and things got tough.
They got pulled into the business.
And so now Dougie is reminding them of who they were.
Right.
So again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. This episode is not there yet, but I love the fact that and again, that's why I love the Mitchums so much. Like they become such, and I'll just say this, like, even after the return is over, they are still taking good care of Dougie, Janie E, and Sonny Jim. Like,
but I think you're right. We're getting ahead of ourselves. But I think though what's important in this episode is that they're there. So they're gangsters. They're running this casino. They're in this business. They're obviously willing to throw people under the bus. But they we get the spark, like, she clocks this guy, but it's clearly an accident, and they don't take it out on her. They treat her fairly. They are not, like I said, not exploitative. Like, we're getting the sense that these people aren't villains in that sort of sense, but they may be doing some bad things, but they're not. And so that sets us up for where their arc is going to go, and so I think that's where we're starting from here.
I apologize for going forward. I love them so much. I've been waiting so long to talk about them because I adore them. Like, they are my favorites.
Well, and this is the beginning of that, so now we're on that train, and we're going to get there's a lot of fun stuff that's coming up.
It's two unlikely actors that you would think in this role, because it's Jim Belushi, who's mostly a comedic actor.
Right.
And I forget the other actor's name, but he's most famously known for playing like the creepy Nazi guy in Prison Break. Like, I think that's his thing.
So you're right. I forgot about that. Yeah. No, they but like I said, you believe them as brothers. Like, you really do. Like, you buy it completely. You totally buy it completely. And you buy that these guys are not men to be crossed. I mean, we see in the earlier episode when they learn how much they lost from the casino and they beat the shit out of that guy. Like, we know they are not men to be trifled with.
Yeah, they don't have good plans for Dougie at this point.
No, not right now. They should all
to murder him.
They are prepared to take him off the board, baby.
Yeah, that's right. So, like I said, we've got lots to talk about with them.
We got lots.
But this is a great intro. This is a great, like I said, setting up the characters in a way. And my understanding is that this scene was developed again, the history of happy accidents in Twin Peaks, but that his injury happened before shooting, and they had to work something around, fitting that in.
Love it.
Oh, that's great.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I could have some of that wrong, so I hope I'm not misinterpreting some of the stuff I've read about this episode. But again, happy accident leads to this great scene that's fun, and this episode needed some levity.
It needed the levity, yes.
Yes, so it was great to have that in here. Yeah. So again, because even like before this, the scene, like I do find the character whose name I'm forgetting that sends the guy over to frame. I always find his scenes creepy, really creepy. And so again, it was nice to get some of the levity here to help out this episode out.
I forget the actor's name, but he's of course the guy that dies of basically a fright in Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, he's always pretty creepy. But yes, Candy, introducing to the brothers and Candy, and it's just a great, really great moment of levity and introduction of some great characters that are really going to be a big part of the second half of the return.
It's really like, and it's so funny to think that you're in episode 10 and you're really still introducing characters that are going to have that much impact. But these guys
are in episode 10 and we still only mentioned or hinted at Audrey. So I remember the first time you watched through as a Twin Peaks fan, you're like, where's Audrey?
Where is she? Right. Yeah. Like, she's got to be in play somewhere. Come on.
Now we finally get our first hint that she's around, right?
Yeah.
So, So there's still a lot. Like, he doesn't leave anything on the table. There's a lot still coming. This is why it couldn't be 9 episodes.
No.
You're right.
No. Yeah. He needed his full 18 and 18 hours at that, dude. Like, you really needed it.
Did we talk about everything in Vegas, or is there stuff we missed that we didn't cover in
Well, like
Vegas?
you said, we do find out about them discovering he's Mr. Jackpots, and then we find out that Todd has put the screws to work to make basically Dougie the fall guy for all the fraud that he's been committing. Which is what led to the Mitchums losing that $30 million. So we know that's the big stuff right there. Like, that is by far the big stuff in this episode, but it's all great stuff. It's all important stuff. And again, like, I haven't really talked about him a whole lot in this episode, but Tom Sizemore is really great in the part that he's given. I mean, like, he does a great job in that part. And again, like, what a piece of shit. But then, like, as it goes on, like, and he gets to be around Dougie more. I love how Dougie is just, like I said, Dougie's healing people. Like, he really is.
Yeah,
like,
there's gonna be a great moment between Tom Sizemore and Dougie later in the show.
So you could say the inverse is true too, right? That Mr. C is poisoning people, right?
Oh, God, yes.
People around him, like, and we've seen so much examples of that.
Yes.
sort of throughout. And even like in this episode, we've already talked a little bit about his negative impact on the world. So there's, those two sides there. And I mean, I guess didn't think of this before, but Sonny Jim and Richard Horn are in ways step siblings in a way.
Yeah, they are technically
in
a weird way. Yes, they are. Yeah, they are. They really
very
are.
different.
I never thought about it, but you're right.
Neither had I till just now.
Literally, you're not wrong. That is not a wrong statement. And thank God Sonny Jim knows nothing of that asshole.
Yes, yeah.
Protect Sonny Jim at all costs. God,
that's right. Yes, he's a little ray of light and sunshine. And we only get a tiny little brief moment of him here, which is funny, of course, if it's a little cringy, but it's a nice little moment, and again, it's like stemming from joy, right? Which is great. So that's lovely. But yeah, I guess if we're done with the Vegas piece, the Buckhorn piece, there's a little bit of Buckhorn. There's a little bit of joy there too, as we see, Albert on his date. It's so lovely, especially for longtime fans of the series and longtime fans of Albert and all of his shenanigans over the seasons. And here we get to see him connect with someone. I mean, we started to see it before, but
because she had the same humor. Sorry,
truly.
Yeah, and now we see them. Yes,
and it's really
so the joy. The joy of seeing the two of them sitting at the table is one thing, but the joy of watching Gordon and Tammy watching them is like,
I feel like Gordon.
It's so wholesome.
Kind of laughing at it, but at the same time, like, oh, way to go, Albert! You found some.
I think he's so happy for him. I think
they are.
Gordon is happy for Albert. Yeah, that's how I read the scene. I don't think
that's
he's
exactly
how
I read it. It's just one of those moments that's so precious. Like, I love Gordon and Albert, and I would have given anything to just have a spinoff of just the two of them doing cool shit, like whatever Blue Rose things they come across. Just show me more of it. Because goddamn, do I love the two of them together?
They could do a prequel series, young Albert and
I'd watch the fuck out of it. Give me a Blue Rose spinoff, man. Like, let me see all the shit that those two have gotten into, and it's a lot because of the way that they are as friends. Very few people can call Gordon on his bullshit, but Albert is one of them. And I love this moment because as you said, Albert has gone through so much. Goddamn, he has. He found himself in Twin Peaks. That he walks, a spiritual path, and he loves Sheriff Truman after he punched him. He does. He loves the man. So Gordon's gone through it. I mean, or Albert's gone through it. He's gone through it. And he works, hand in hand with Gordon Cole, and that Gordon has dragged him on shit that he had no intentions of being a part of, but he went because it's Gordon. And so seeing Albert on this date, it's one again. In a season that's filled with so many great little moments, this is one of those little moments that I tear up and smile every time I see it. It's so wholesome and so perfect. Albert finally finds like the female him, basically.
A counterpart.
Found the male her.
Like,
like they get each other so beautifully. And just seeing Gordon just watching his friend from across the room, like it's. That I'm starting to tear up now thinking about it, especially knowing that we, Miguel Ferrer was not going to be with us much longer after this as well, because he was getting the cancer while making it. Like, there's something so beautiful in that moment that they gave. I love that they gave Albert this moment. They gave Albert this win. They didn't have to do it. It has nothing to do with the impact of the series at all. It doesn't have to exist. That scene does not. It doesn't really move anything. It doesn't need to be there. But goddamn, am I glad that it is, because Albert deserved that win. Albert deserved it.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things that works so great about The Return is there's all of these layers that are things that are happening at once. Because Constance is an important character because she moves so much of the plot along, and she's entertaining throughout. Like she was a character I loved early on. Like she was in there near the beginning, and she was so much fun whenever she was on screen. But then it also has this payoff, which is such another layer, right? That just, like you said, maybe didn't have to be there, but is just so, like, she's not there just for this either, right? Her character is essential to the plot.
She's
otherwise. Yes, exactly.
But this moment is not essential at all. This moment does not need to happen.
Right.
And she still does everything she needs to do as a character, even if you don't have this moment. It's a beautiful moment that I'm so glad we have. It's like how I look at, like, I'm wearing my Quint fishing shirt. So like Jaws, I got to see the 4K, by the way, if you've not seen it, it's stunning. But it's the moment that I dearly love that does not need to be there. But it's when Brody's sitting at the table after dealing with the Alex Kintner, situation, and his son is just imitating him. And it is the most simple, beautiful moment. It doesn't need to be there, but I'm so glad that it is, because it's actually one of my favorite moments of the film. And this is that kind of vibe. Like, it's that connection. Like, we see Brody and his son, and it's important for us to see this because we now know why Brody has to stop the shark. With Albert finally finding that someone, it's important to see that Albert does have that payoff. Like, for those of us who love him and we've seen the struggles he's went through as he has grown over the course of the series, to see that payoff for him is really, really beautiful. It didn't need to be there, but goddamn, am I grateful that it was. And it's one of my favorite things in The Return.
Well, and again, it gives a really natural. So in the same way that we find out about Audrey through a scene that is not necessarily related to her, we find out more plot through this scene as well, because Tam uses the moment to show the connection between Mr. C and the glass box in New York. So
and then,
again, it's accomplishing a bunch of things all at once. And then a very natural way.
When Albert shows up in Gordon's hotel room and they're talking about the text, we're getting links to what's going to later pop up in a later episode, where Gordon mentions, he said, I knew something when I hugged her, but this confirms it.
So this is what I wanted to ask you guys your thoughts on the door opening and Laura's phantom there. What are your feelings, thoughts?
I'll be honest, the first time I watched it, I was like, so help me God if Gordon gets shot. Like, it really had that vibe to me. I was like, so help me God if Gordon Cole gets shot. And I was so relieved when Alfred's on the other side of that image. Like, I was so glad to see Albert stand. I was like, thank God, Albert's not going to shoot him. Albert's okay. But it's one of those things that, like, I still don't quite know what I feel about it. Obviously, the episode of the show, the episode being called Laura is the one, she's going to be, and again, we just continue to see the importance of her in this, but it's like Gordon never met her. So it's interesting that he sees a scene of her from Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me when she was very much alive, when she's at Donna's, doorway. It's interesting that that's the image that he sees. And I've never been able to quite, I just kind of accept it as like, it's just a moment that happens and it just is reminding us how important Laura is. I've never been able to truly pinpoint what I think it means. And I'm interested to hear what you guys have on it, but I don't know, for me, like, it was just a moment where I was just like, it just reminds us all that Laura is still the core of this thing. And the fact that it's Gordon being played by David Lynch, who has said all along that Laura Palmer is like his most beautiful creation and his favorite thing, that obviously that's there, I think, purposefully. But I don't know if it's anything more than that. I really don't. I don't know if it's Laura trying to reach out across time space to get him. To me, I just have always just let it it happens and it moves on. I never dwell on it too much because they don't dwell on it too much in the scene. So I'm totally open to discussion on that.
Cody, I don't know if you have thoughts about that moment.
Well, I mean, this is exactly, David Lynch would have never told us what it meant, right? He was so open and glib about like interpretations, and he's like, it's up to you. What do you think? Because and you could boil it down to like, it's just Laura's the centerpiece of everything that's happening in the series. Like, I don't know specifically what it means at all, because we can have theories. You could have a million theories. And like, if you're talking about Gordon Cole, all Gordon Cole would have known is from photos of the case file, right? He never met Laura. He doesn't know who Laura was. Just like Cooper never knew who Laura was, but yeah, who knows? Maybe it's Laura trying to channel from the Red Room or the Black Lodge or the White Lodge. Who knows? I don't know if there's really an answer.
Yeah, I think I think you're right that I don't think he gives us ever a real explanation in the series
because
for
nothing
this
ever
moment.
happens like that again to Gordon. Like we
No.
never see him have another vision like that.
But I mean, you maybe could interpret like it's the White Lodge channeling because of what they're about to have and what we know is about to happen. Maybe it's the White Lodge intervening and kind of giving them hints.
Yeah, I think so. I've been reflecting on this more because I don't think I have answers for this either, but it was certainly, again, because of the title of the episode, because you're right, like there's sort of meta text here though, because yes, Gordon never never met Laura, but David Lynch created her, right, with Mark Frost, and has always said she was, so like she could have been the MacGuffin for a soap opera, sort of as, one of the original sort of intentions was, but instead Lynch always brought it back to her and made her the central figure. And I've been reading more too about articles where people see in the return sort of attempts for different timelines, different realities competing with each other, whether it's little things like the little things like the diner scene flipping back and forth, or
the reflection in the mirror when Big Ed's sitting in the gas farm. Like
there's a number of things. So I mean, I do like to think it is a little bit of Laura, calling out, asserting herself a little bit. I do see Twin Peaks as being about her as her own hero. We've talked about this in Fire Walk with Me.
Yeah.
And Lynch's real sort of ascent. And I think as we get into 17 and 18, we're going to have some real interesting discussions. And there's so much, to reflect on and everything. And I think there's a little piece of that here. I mean, he did talk so much about the importance of watching Fire Walk with Me and the relevance of Fire Walk with Me to this series. And this is a scene. This isn't the only scene from Fire Walk with Me that we're going to see here. So, this is a scene from that. I think for me that it is something about Laura asserting herself, whether it's a warning, whether it is a cry for help. I think I'm probably leaning more towards the former than the latter.
And we'll talk about it more when we get to 17 and 18, but there are a lot of concepts on pocket dimensions and sort of time-space traps. There's a lot to look at, and could this be like part of that bleeding in? Because there's a key line towards the end of this that Philip Jeffrey says is that Cole will be the one who remembers it as it was.
Right.
So Cole has, he's got some chops, and he's not going to be dissuaded by a time-space mix-up, apparently. So could this be some bleed through there? Again, as we always say, whatever you think it is, that's correct.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's also the idea that that's right, that he is remembering, especially as, people's memories or people's versions of history are changing, when you look at the differences in, some of the character backstories too, in different forms and episodes. So there's, it could be, what you just said there, I think is really relevant here. It could be that he's just remembering, and not because he met Laura, but because he remembers the real history of Twin Peaks and what happened to Laura, and to not forget it.
And if you read the final dossier, there's stuff that kind of backs that up as well. That's so there's, I mean, it's a simple little moment, and it's 10 seconds if it's even that. But boy, it could really have major implications in the grand scheme of things.
Well, it's striking. It's not just a subtle thing in the background either. It's striking.
No, it gets your attention when it happens. Yeah, it definitely gets your attention. Because like I said, my first thought was, oh my God, don't get shot. Like it was just like, it was so impactful. It's just like, please don't get shot. Well, I need Gordon Cole to survive this. I need him to be here the whole time.
And let us not forget, this all became a centerpiece just because of how impressed they were with the talent of Cheryl Lee. Because I think originally this character was a MacGuffin.
She was. She was a one and done.
Lynch was just so enamored with how talented she was. He was like, no, there has to be more here than just a dead body.
Well, and he gives her Maddie, which is great, because I do love the fact that she got to be in it, and she really got to show her chops with that, and a very different character than what Laura Palmer would end up being.
Absolutely.
You know, from what we'd see. And so again, you really show how, I mean, I'll say till the end of time. I think Cheryl Lee not receiving any kind of nominations for her work in Fire Walk with Me it's a fucking crime. Like, it really is. Like, she is so incredibly great in that film.
Didn't she actually get the wrong kind of nomination for this?
I want to
film?
say she may have gotten the Razzie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I mean, my position is fuck the Razzies, up and down, left, sideways.
Yeah, all day long.
Oh, yeah.
All day long.
Exactly.
So for me, like, to see that moment, like I said, there's so many ways you can look at it, and it could be as simple as Lynch just reminding us that she's the most important thing, and kind of letting that be a thing that kind of jogs Cole. Could it be Cole remembering things the way it's supposed to be, the correct memory of things? You know, there, like I said, 17 and 18. God, there are so many ways we'll talk about the analysis of that, because it could go any number of ways. But this could be dropping some seeds of what will end up being in those final 2 episodes.
And it is, you know, I don't think we should ignore the fact of what else happens in this scene. Like, maybe there's something to be said. There's something about this that is connected to that. Like, we're getting information about who Diane is in this scene too, not as clearly as who Richard is in the other scene, but we're getting some information about that. So there's also about who's real and who's not, and you know, all of that too. So maybe there's something there too, or it could just be Cole's intuition and his sense and his connection to things too that is being
I mean
here.
So many of these Blue Rose cases he's dealt with, you know, there's going to be residue from that, because he's not dealing with things on a normal level. He's dealing with things on a metaphysical level, things on a quantum physical level, like time and space dilation levels. Like, Gordon Cole's been through some shit. That dude's brain is not going to be like anybody else's, man. Like, it's just not. And when you're dealing with that kind of impact, you know, and yet you're still able to keep your shit straight, like, that's a level of intelligence and like self-ability that most people would never be able to comprehend. You know, Gordon Cole is a sharp tool in the shed, man. He really is.
Right. So, and then really this episode ends with such beautiful moments. So there's, of course, the log lady moment, which is beautiful for all the reasons that you've already explained. Her connecting everything back to Laura, I think, is really impactful and moving as well. And then there is Rebecca Del Rio performing one of my favorite songs from this show, No Stars, which is gorgeous. And I love, you know, because in my headcanon, Mulholland Drive happens in the same world as Twin Peaks.
Sure. No, we talked about that. And
I love the idea. I love the idea of her performing at the Roadhouse, a song that is like also very sort of maybe a little more grounded than her performance in Mulholland Drive.
Sure.
But still one that is haunting and, you know, again,
there's an ethereal quality to her performance.
Yes, yeah,
there really is a very ethereal quality. Like, again, she kind of defies time and space. She sounds like she could have been big in the 50s, and she sounds like she could have been big in the 2010s. Like, she has that sort of timeless vibe, and that's very appropriate with what we've just kind of started talking about. So, no, I love it, and I love the idea of, like, you know, she got to take a break from Club Silencio to come actually sing. That's really good. They just gave her the night off. Like, you know what? You got the chops. Go have fun. We'll see you back.
Well, except that my theory, like, again, like, like we've talked about, like, different realities and competing for space and time in Twin Peaks, and the Roadhouse still has an air that it could be there, but it could also be representative of somewhere else, or
that's valid.
Sort of doorway to something else. So maybe in many ways,
Silencio vibes,
Silencio and exactly, and the Roadhouse have some similar things in common. So
I got no qualms with that concept, Colin. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, so I really love that moment, and I love that she gets some real time to sing the song too. Like, they don't cut away to the credits right away.
They really put the spotlight on her, no pun intended. They really do. Like, they really give her that moment. And Lynch, you know, obviously is just enamored with her qualities, because, I mean, God, she brings it in Mulholland Drive, and she brings it here, man. There is such a raw emotion to her voice. Like, it really, I mean, like, it's really something.
And it sums up just kind of the emotion of what really works for the episode too.
Yeah.
But I also like just the whole series is just Lynch just showcasing his eclectic taste in music.
Oh, sure.
Like, here's just some people. Here's just some music I dig.
Some bands I like. Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite things
he's made us a mixtape.
It's like, what's your favorite song? It's like, well, it doesn't get much better than Sharp Dressed Man. Like, and that comes back into play here too. Like, it's just fabulous,
And I was just looking it up. I guess we didn't. We might have talked about it when we did the Fire Walk with Me episode, but it did not receive any Razzie nominations. It got some Saturn nominations.
Oh, good. Okay,
you deserve that.
Off topic of the 1992 or 93 Razzies, they disrespectfully nominated Danny DeVito for Worst Supporting Actor for the Penguin in Batman Returns.
That's so wrong. I love Batman Returns.
They're so wrong. Yeah, they're so wrong.
I like it better than 89 Batman. It's a hill I'll die on. Sorry, but I do. Batman Returns is one of my favorite live action Batman things ever.
I love it. Me too.
I adore it.
Love Batman Returns.
Yeah,
it's twisted. It's
it's Tim Burton.
Fabulous.
It just works.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that one. No, but like I said, for me, like, when you start looking at, like, I think one of the cool things he could have done, like, it just would have been so funny because, again, we talked about Lost Highway and having the same vibes as
that also is in the same universe.
If fucking Fred Madison would have been a guest at the Roadhouse and he's sitting there playing his jazz, I would have lost my shit.
We could definitely say a lot of the Lynch films feel like they're within the Twin Peaks universe, right?
Robert Hart sure as shit does.
I mean, even Blue Velvet feels like it's with
Blue Velvet, definitely, yeah. I mean, Blue Velvet's the fucking, basically it's the blueprint for it, in so many ways. But no, I mean, like, if Fred Madison would have showed up at the Roadhouse, I'd have been like, yes, fucking bring it, bring in Bill Pullman, put him up there with that saxophone, let it go. I love the idea of that they could exist in similar time space. Mm-hmm. And it makes so much sense when you look at. If you look at the single isolated incident that is Fred Madison's situation, it absolutely feels like that's a situation that could have been absolutely egged on by the Black Lodge.
Yes,
like,
absolutely. And I mean, Robert Blake's character feels like something from the Black Lodge.
He does. Yeah, he does. I mean, and Mr. Eddie, Robert Loggia, he's a gangster. Come on, man. Like, it all fits in, man. It really does. It all fits in. Like, it's all very, very part and parcel.
Yeah.
But I think this episode is definitely one of those that it's again, and so many episodes I could say this about for this season, but it's like everything that you want out of Twin Peaks encapsulated in an hour. Like it really is kind of, you get the comedy, you get the drama, you get the horror, you get the slapstick and the serious. Like it's that wonderful combination of all of it. Like it really is a masterclass in screenwriting, this whole thing. And I really wish I could have seen the screening that they just did in New York, where they screened the entire thing as an 18-hour movie. Like,
right.
God, do I wish I could have seen that. And if they would release that, I would find a way to own that shit like instantly. Like that would be a fabulous way to see it, because they edit out a lot of the music stuff and the credits. Right. So it's just this one big thing. I can only imagine what that would have been like, being in a room full of Twin Peaks nerds, getting to see it the way Lynch really intended us to see it.
Right.
Man. But each episode on its own, it's amazing how each episode gives you like everything that you think of when you think of Twin Peaks, without giving us the Twin Peaks that we thought we would get.
Right.
It's a real fucking balance, man. They really do a great job.
This one has a lot that happens in Twin Peaks, which is nice. But it also, like I said, there's a lot of, there's such extremes here. So there are really horrible scenes. Like probably the hardest scene to watch is when Richard mows down the kid. But this one has a lot of scenes that are really difficult to watch.
I'd say maybe the second hardest is
balance.
Bad, yeah.
But then balanced with some really wwonderful, joyful scenes as well, and hilarious scenes. Even like I said, even though most of the hilarity, I think, is centered around a lot of joy, whether it's Albert or whether it's Jeannie and Dougie or whatever.
Yeah, right? I mean, it almost feels like the Las Vegas component is like the happiness of Twin Peaks in this season, and it makes sense because that's where the purity of Dale Cooper resides right now. Like, that's where all the good stuff is, because that facet of energy is right there, man, and it keeps expanding. Every person that he gets involved with, the sweet little old lady at the casino who's losing and looks so disheveled.
Mr. Jackpot.
When we see her again, like, dude, I won't lie, I teared up when that happened. I was so joyful at that moment. I was like, this is so perfect. Dougie is he is healing the world around him, and I love it. I'm here for every bit of it.
I think you guys hit on it. If Mr. C is like poisoning and cursing the people that he affects and
which
is around,
he absolutely does.
Dougie is healing everyone and putting positivity into the world. And the thing about the violence and the disturbing stuff that happens in Twin Peaks, I think the language, like the dialogue, is almost more disturbing in those scenes than the actual violence. Like,
yeah, I think a lot of it is the self-assurance of these people with zero morals, like how confident they feel speaking these horrible things and saying and doing these horrible things. It's awful. And by and far that, hearing their intentions, hearing their lack of empathy is very horrible. I mean, even when when Richard hits the kid, just all he is screaming about, it's your fucking fault, kid. You shouldn't have been there. They should have told me not to do it. It's all everybody's fault but his.
Yeah.
And that tells you all you need to know about Richard Horn.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, it is potent stuff. But for me, like I said, the Mitchum brothers start their reign here officially. And it's the stuff that I get the most excited about.
Don't they have that the other way around? I know they're not doing the fool me. They're saying something else, but like, don't they have that the other way around when they're like, shame on us and then shame on you? I'm like, isn't that the other way around?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, they like I said, everything about them is so fabulous. They could have been such stereotypical bad guys. They could have been such stereotypical mob boss, casino running dudes, like right out of Goodfellas. And a lesser director and screenwriter would have done that. But instead we get these very amicable and layered characters, who we know that they're not necessarily good people, but I never get the vibe from them that they're bad.
Right.
I think that's the weird thing about it. Even though they put the hit on Dougie, like they want to take him out, I still don't look at them as bad people. Like, you understand why they do what they do.
I think that's what this scene is setting up, right? And setting them on their course for redemption.
It is a redemption arc. It's a beautiful redemption arc.
Saved by Dougie, right? To be influenced and nursed by Dougie. Yeah. So a lot coming up here that's exciting. This second half is this reminded me a lot of all the things I'm looking forward to in the second half.
Yeah, man, no joke. Like I said, everything Las Vegas is so wonderful. I mean, it's just it's so great. I'm so happy that we're here at this point now. And of course, like I said, we're going to see more. The Buckhorn contingency gets much more interesting as we learn more about the case there. More and more about Garland Briggs' involvement there. Like, there's a bunch of big stuff still to come in Buckhorn. Like I said, the Buckhorn stuff's very fun. Like, every time because the first time watching, I was just kind of like, why are we here? Like, where I want to get back to Twin Peaks. Like, this feels like Twin Peaks was not there. I want to get back to Twin Peaks. Now every time I watch
it all pays off for not just the little plot of what's going on in this season or series, but also paying off stuff from the previous series.
Exactly.
Was it exactly how you wanted it to play 25 years ago? No, but it
was never going to be.
Right.
Interconnecting things, but updating it for how things would have progressed in a 25-year gap.
Yeah. And the Buckhorn stuff now, like I said, it's again, some of my favorite moments in Twin Peaks happen in the Buckhorn area. So, like, you get some really funny moments, you get some really chilling moments. There's a lot that is to like in Buckhorn. Like, there really is. It's amazing how much more global the return gets. I mean, you got New York City, you got Buenos Aires, you got Las Vegas, you've got Buckhorn, you've got Twin Peaks. Like, it's going places that they never even thought about in the original series, other than Philadelphia and the FBI agency office and where Teresa Banks was killed there at the Fat Trout Trailer Park. Like, that's as far as it went. like in Canada.
Oh,
like,
don't forget that James rode off to wherever that town was down the road.
That town
there. That's right. Somewhere in Washington.
But it was all within like it was all within like an hour radius of Twin Peaks. Like other than Philadelphia, it was all within like right there, right?
Right.
So it's really cool to see that even in the more global vibe of the return, it never feels too big. It never loses its focus. And man, that's saying a lot with everything that's going on. But all of these various like plot lines have payoffs, man. They may not be the way you think they're going to go, but there are payoffs to pretty much everything in this season. And I think that's really, the juggling act that Mark Frost and David Lynch did. Again, we love it, but it's one of those things, like, even as popular as this return was, I don't think people really respected it to the level they should have when you look at everything that they did in that series.
If you look at when Blank Check did David Lynch's series, and they did the return in I think 3 or 4 episode chunks, and because they usually play the box office game of the movie they're discussing, like where it was and what was the top 5 of that weekend. Like the stuff people were watching at the weeks these episodes were out, this didn't even register in most watch of the time.
No. Right. No.
So this was just hardcore fans or television critics or David Lynch fans watching that stuff at the time. But it has stood the test of of great art. And I think it's something that's always going to be discussed. And when we get to the end of this, and when we get to the end after we talk about the 5 Lynch films we haven't covered yet, you can't ignore this without talking David Lynch.
Well, and that's why I wanted to take the detour that we did, before we came into the return, by looking at the films that we looked at. Those films in particular being, as we've even talked about, they feel like they could exist in that universe. But they are films that definitely showed Lynch being the director that he wanted to be. The director that didn't have studio mandates, the director that didn't have to worry about budget, the director that just made the things in his head on film and no filter in between it. Like I wish Terry Gilliam had that luck. I really do. I love Terry Gilliam so much. I wish he had the same fortune that David Lynch has had. But it's for me, as we've been talking about this, it's weird to think Twin Peaks may be, the return, I should say, seasons 1 and 2 will always be this special thing. They just are this special, perfect thing. Season 3, the return, is almost like its own thing, even though it's still Twin Peaks. It still feels.
It is its own thing.
The return might be the most rewatchable thing David Lynch has ever made. For me, it has so much payoff every time I rewatch it. And as much as I love watching Lost Highway, and as much as I love watching Mulholland Drive and Wild at Heart, and I know Dune, I love Dune. I don't care. I love it. The return might have the most return on investment of rewatching of anything he's done. And the more we talk about it doing these, the more that sticks in my head, the more that really just is, that seed is firmly planted, that this may be his most rewarding rewatch of anything he's ever done, because there is just always something to take away from it. There's, things we talked about tonight that we'd never even talked about, things we didn't even think about. The scene with Laura, the scene with Amanda Siegfried, we didn't even think about those things before. Going through it again,
I've watched it less than rewatched it less than many of his other things, and I do find that this rewatch has been really illuminating for that reason. I'm just so glad to have the opportunity to rewatch it, because I'm getting so much more out of it than the other times that I've watched it. I think you're onto something in terms of the potential there for rewatchability. It's just being 18 hours is a big undertaking to rewatch.
It is. It is. But I'm just saying, as far as the rewarding of it, man, it's there. God, it's for there. Sure. I mean, it really is.
And not that he's exclusive as an artist, him and Frost, at their ages. There's other artists still cranking out great work. I mean,
sure.
But if you look at the trajectory of most directors at this point in their life, they're not really doing something at this magnitude, right?
They're not usually taking those kinds of chances. And more importantly, they don't have a studio giving them the chance to take those kinds of chances. I think that's a big part of it right there, too.
Right. That Showtime was like, yeah, just do whatever you want. Sure.
Yeah. Make it rated R.
Right. It's television, so the budget's not the same as a film. But at the same point that they were just like, sure, do whatever you want. Oh,
and at the same time,
wanted 9, but you want 18 episodes? Cool, do it.
But at the same time, dude, it may not have the budget of a lot of things, but much like seasons 1 and 2, it's still some of the best looking television you've ever seen. And it was absolutely in 2017. I'll guarantee you it was the best looking show on television
too. Even though it is specifically designed to be a television episode, it feels cinematic. Yeah. And that's why a lot of people will argue that it's an 18-hour movie.
I really and truly, when I hear people say that, I'm like, I get it. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I mean, Lynch himself even said that was the way he wanted us to see it, was as a full 18-hour film. So I'm like, yeah.
Oh, and Cahiers du Cinema did name it the best film of the year. So they also saw it that way. On a detour here, you were talking about being able to see it it edited as a film in the way that it was shown recently. We're finally getting that with Kill Bill, right?
Yeah,
we're finally getting the release of the whole bloody
affair, man. I can't wait
about that, but and it's going to get a wide release, right?
Personally, it's my favorite Tarantino, so I'm excited to see it as one because I've always thought of it as one film.
Well, he says it's one film.
Yeah,
and there've been screenings of it like in LA and then I think it filmed at Cannes or somewhere. So there's been screenings of it.
Yeah, but, never wide.
Never been released for the public to see in its entirety as well.
Right. And it's edited differently. It doesn't have the intro into there's different pieces that are there. And
are they taking out the color differentiation in the scene with the big attack with the crazy 88s? Are we finally going to see that in color?
I don't know exactly.
Because that's a big one right there. Because that's one of the big changes so they could get that R rating. So I'd love to know.
We don't know if he's even going to make his 10th supposed final film because whatever he was developing as the movie critic turned out to be a continuation of Cliff Booth that is now a new David Fincher movie.
Yeah, that's a really weird.
I'll tell you what, though, I can't wait to see it. I mean, I love Fincher. I love Tarantino. I love, again, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is my favorite Tarantino. And there's talk that there is like a multi-hour version of that in existence.
Wow.
I would love to see that done. Like he did, if you've not watched it, the Hateful Eight, the actual miniseries version.
Of him breaking it up into chapters.
Yeah, and I love that so much more than the theatrical release. It's such a better vibe than the theatrical release. And if they would do that with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I don't care if it could be 18 hours. I'll tell you what I'm doing that weekend. I'm watching that fucking 18 hours. This is how I am, dude. Just like with Kill Bill, when that finally gets released is one thing. Yes, I'm going to be there. And if I have the means of seeing a 70 millimeter print in my proximity, I'm going for it. Like, that would be a stellar thing to see.
Yeah. But I'm excited to see it. And I will try my best to see it in the theaters if I can. And hopefully, if not, he'll release a Blu-ray or 4K cut.
You can't tell me there's a 4K of that in existence.
There has to be. If they're going to do it the theatrical release, I bet there will be a home release as well.
I'll put money on it. I'll absolutely put money on it.
And I will buy it because I already own both parts 1 and 2, but I will buy that one as well.
I will buy the entirety if just to see what his intention was as a whole movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, the animation stuff will be added in, like all that stuff. Like, I'm really excited to see that. I'm like it's definitely in my top of his films. It's such just a crazy fun movie.
Well, Kill Bill Volume 2 is my second favorite. Well, I consider Kill Bill a whole movie like him. So it's my second favorite Tarantino film.
That's fair.
It's my favorite of his. For me, it's my favorite of his.
Maybe the ego of his ego. I just love Inglourious Bastards.
I love that movie too. So I hear ya.
Yeah, it's definitely for me. Like I love Inglourious Bastards. My thing is this: it feels like two different films. One is this like men on a mission revenge flick, and the other one is this really tense story about a woman overcoming her Nazi oppressors. Mm-hmm. And it's weird when they connect. Like, I almost wish they were two different things. I hate to say that, but I really kind of do. Everything with Shoshana and Hans Landa is so perfect, and it's maybe Hans Landa might be the single best character Tarantino's ever written. And Christoph Waltz's performance notwithstanding, it's that dialogue as well.
I mean, we're getting off topic, but
yes, we are.
Sorry.
Here's a question I want to do though.
Yes,
and then we can close.
Okay.
Who is the better actor for the Tarantino dialogue? Because people have said they're both perfect. Is it Samuel L. Jackson or is it Christoph Waltz?
It depends on the character. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's kind of an apples and oranges. Both of them deliver it well, but it's like I would not think Christoph Waltz would deliver Samuel L. Jackson's dialogue correctly.
And vice Samuel versa. Jackson wouldn't do Christoph Waltz dialogue.
So that's kind of an apples and oranges thing.
I think you're right on the money there. I'm not a big fan of ranking things. I know it's a really popular thing for, the cinephile community to do, is always about ranking. I have a really hard time comparing different things that are different. I think you just hit on it exactly there. Each one of those artists does things differently.
And the character Christoph Waltz plays in Django for Christoph Waltz.
Yeah, he absolutely did.
But I think if he wants to go into his profanity-fueled monologues, there's no one that does it better than Samuel L. Jackson.
He's pretty effortless at it. I won't lie.
I mean, he cusses like it's a poem.
He does. And it's funny because he actually did that he had a stutter. And so he would kind of throw in motherfucker to help with the stutter. That's no joke. Like, that's really a thing that he did. That's why he's so effortless at it, because it became almost like a survival mechanism. So I think that's pretty cool. But the ranking thing is correct. Like, like you asked me to rank my top 10 movies of all time. I can tell you my top 4, and beyond that, I can't tell you. Like, right. As you said, Colin, one time, and I think it's the most accurate thing I've ever heard anyone say. My top 10 list of movies has like 150 movies in it. And it's like the most accurate thing I can say, because on any given Sunday, it could be, I can tell you my top 4. But then it's like, okay, after that, it's like, well, where do I put things like Lost Highway? Where do I put things like, Taxi Driver? Like, Taxi Driver is my favorite Scorsese film. Would I say it's in my top 10 films of all time? I don't know. I really don't know. Where do I put Apocalypse?
And you're right. One week it might be, and another week it might not.
Well,
that's
because
just how people are.
Because some movies you love, but they don't really have a rewatchability. Like, I love Taxi Driver, but is that something I want to rewatch a lot? Not really.
No, it's not something you're going to throw in like when you're looking for your feel-good movie to watch. No, it's not going to be that. And it's like, I think Requiem for a Dream is one of the most powerful films I've ever watched. I've only watched it one time, and I have zero desire to ever watch it again. But it's absolutely one of the most incredible films I've ever watched. So it's hard to say.
It depends on mood. It depends on season. It depends on the vibe.
The one thing I can tell you, that to loop it back into where we are, if I have to choose my Mount Rushmore of directors, David Lynch is on that Mount Rushmore. I can tell you that one.
Well, that's fair because, how many other directors get a adjective to describe a genre or vibe of themselves? Like,
very few.
Very few. Spielbergian.
We were talking about one of the other ones, but yes,
The only other two directors I can think of that, well, maybe, there's a few. There's plenty.
There's a few, but
there's a few, but very few get an ism next.
I'll just put it this way: you can tell someone that something is very David Lynchian, and even if they've never seen a David Lynch film, they know in their head kind of what that might mean.
Yeah.
And I think that's a pretty powerful statement to make about David Lynch. Even if you never saw his work, if you heard, hey, that looks like a David Lynch film, you'd be like, oh. Like, people who've never even seen it would know.
Lynchianism is something people have heard of, even if they don't know who David Lynch
is. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's pretty amazing when you think about, that's it. And he didn't even have like that many films that he made in the grand scheme of things. Compared to other directors, nowhere near.
Compared to a Spielberg or somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
Or a Kubrick,
Well, Kubrick didn't have a lot of films either.
I mean, Kubrick didn't have a lot either, but I mean, like comparatively, like I'm just saying, like Lynch had so few, but man, the impact from every film that he had was felt. You know that and not every director gets to say that. You know.
Yeah, that's true. Because directors who usually have more output, you're like, oh well, you don't have to see that one, or you don't let you're a completionist. You know,
right? No, it's a good way to put it. I mean, like, I don't feel the need to catch like every single film, you know, of every director, but like Lynch is one of those that I can say, yeah, I've seen every film that he put out, and that's, you know, and there's some of my favorite films in all of cinema. Twin Peaks, whether you call it TV or cinema, some of my favorite stuff I've ever watched, you know, and it's, you know, my Mount Rushmore of like TV shows, Twin Peaks is definitely on that list as well, you know. So to me, like getting to go through this again with The Return has been like really, really great. Cause again, it, like I said, that rewatchability, there's just things you'll pick up on. It rewards you every time you watch it. This episode, the things we talked about tonight, prime example of that. I'm so grateful for the chance to again, having people who get it like I do, who love it like I do. It's so wonderful to have you guys to talk with, because sometimes I feel like I'm in a vacuum. Like there's so few people who love David Lynch like we do, and it's wonderful true. When you find people who get it like you do, man.
Well, I think episode 11 is pretty fully packed. There's a lot going on in it, if I remember correctly. So I'm looking forward to watching that. When are we going to discuss that?
Well, here's the thing. What does the 19th look like for you guys?
So unfortunately that doesn't work for me. I'm on a flight that night.
Okay.
You could do the following weekend.
I don't want to book the 26th. I may be home by that day, but like I said, the incoming grandchild is supposed to be born.
Oh, that's right.
Wow,
so
that's right.
I don't want to do that weekend. I mean,
do we want to look at like the weekend of November 9th, like that November the 9th, because that way that's after the 2nd, and that by that point probably grandkid is here.
A grandkid will be here by November. I mean, November the 2nd is fine for me if that's okay for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, that should be good with me. I just want to make sure you've got a very big situation there. I don't want to do anything that's going to, impede upon that. That's beautiful.
I have basically told my boss, and we're taking like that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off. We just don't know how that week's going to play out, right? We don't know how long my stepdaughter's going to be in the hospital because we're basically going to be like also animal sitting for her because she has a dog, and so
yeah.
So we don't know how that weekend, so I just don't want to do that weekend just in case we're still.
Well, let's do the 2nd then.
Okay.
Yeah, the 2nd is totally fine with me, man.
It is daylight savings time.
It is, yes.
When I look at that, so we'll be. I mean, so we will get to start an hour late. So that's good.
Yes,
we will all be well rested.
Yes.
I'm all for scrapping daylight savings time, but that one night though does feel great. Nice.
It's the spring forward that everyone's like,
Yeah, but I don't understand why we don't just spring forward on the Friday afternoon of that weekend, because everyone would be happy to lose that hour.
Yeah.
Instead of the hour in the middle of the night on the Saturday.
I'm going to tell you, if you've ever worked a night shift ever in your life.
Right.
It is so wonderful for fall back because you're like, oh, I only have to work 7 hours tonight.
Oh yeah, that's a valid point. Yeah, no, I can totally see that.
But when it's spring forward and you see it says 1:59 a.m. and it rolls back to 1 a.m., you're like, what? I just went back in time.
Right. So I think, I think we should just scrap it. But I think. But if we are going to spring forward, I think it should be like in the middle of the workday so that everybody suddenly is an hour closer to finishing work and nobody would complain. Nobody would lose sleep. It would just be so much easier. So I don't know why we don't do that. If we have to do this, I don't know why we don't do that. But the fallback, I always love the extra hour. So that one I'm willing to take. So let's, so let's say the 2nd. And we'll all be well rested, like I said, and we'll go from there. Thanks, gentlemen. That was, as always, a really fun discussion.
Absolutely,
Always,
man. I really appreciate the time with you guys. Every time we get to do this, I'm grateful. And Cody, if you ever find yourself on your way back up to Salem, stop by. We'll take you back to the Cat Cafe. All right, Mr. Thumb's still there doing his thing.
We had a great time. Wish we could have spent more time. I don't know. The next time we'll be in the area.
I'm just saying, whenever it happens. Colin, if your travels somehow bring you down towards Charleston, West Virginia, by God, you let me know.
Yeah, Josh, it would be lovely to see you guys in person. That would be
fabulous.
That would be a great time.
We got to figure that out at some point. We've got to make a trip of some form, like we have to.
We do.
Yes.
We've gone through too much to never have had a chance for all three of us to be in the same space. We've gone through way too much. All of Twin Peaks, the Lynch filmography. We got to do it. We got to do it.
And I'm glad you guys are on board once we finally get done with this, because I think my wife will be very happy once we're done with Twin Peaks. Because every time,
like I said, we still got some big hits. You still got Blue Velvet. That's a big one, man. We still got that. I don't
think David Lynch is one of her guys, but that's okay.
That's fair. That's fair. My partner's in the same boat. She did like Twin Peaks, like she actually did, but she's not usually too into his regular filmography. And that's fine. Like I said, I will tell everybody till the end of time. He's not for everybody.
I'm glad you guys are on board to discuss other filmmakers or just other movies down the road.
Anytime. Like I said, we seem to park our cars in the same garage. So I think anybody you would want to tackle with the two of us, Cody, I think we would have a great time doing it. I mean, no other way around it.
Yeah. And anybody you guys want to tackle, same here. Like if there's someone you guys are passionate about talking about.
Oh God. I mean, like we could pick particular films I'm passionate about. We could pick particular directors. I got lots,
Oh, we got lots of time to think about it because we still got a lot of David Lynch.
We still got a lot of Twin Peaks to go. A lot of David Lynch. Yep.
Before we even get to the rest of the movies.
But yeah, no, definitely. I hope that we'll be talking with the two of you in 5-10 years. I hope
man.
Still a thing.
Hell yeah. Well, guys, you have a great night. We'll see you on the 2nd when we're all well rested. Cody, best of wishes with everything.
Congratulations, Grandpa.
So fabulous. Do you know what they're having? Is it a boy or a girl?
They will not tell us. They are leaving that a mystery to everyone. They are the only ones that know. Much like Twin Peaks, we won't know till it's over.
Yep. I'll just say this, that I'll just wish for nothing but the most healthy and happy and wonderful grandbaby, whatever it is, just as long as everything, 10 fingers, 10 toes, all that beautiful stuff, man. I hope everything goes as smoothly as possible and it's the rest doesn't matter. Effortless delivery, man.
Thank you. And I didn't know they were literally going to take my sentiment when I said just please wait till I turn 40. Marrying someone older with children, I knew it was a possibility. I was just like, please, we live in the South. I at least want to be in my 40s before I become a grandpa. And
that's
I turned 40 this year, and they're like, well, here you go, happy 40th.
Well, Cody, for what it's worth, I'm 49, about to turn 50 the day after Christmas, and I got a 2-year-old. So man, it's all good.
Life is just that way, isn't it?
It's wacky. Life is Lynchian. Let's put it that way. Good night, gents. Take care. My best to you
guys.
all.
Enjoy spooky season.
Yes.
Yes.
Enjoy
You
spooky
too.
season, guys. Take care.
Good night.
Have a good night. Bye.